the Democratic challenger running against Paul Ryan in Wisconsin has unionized his campaign staff. A newly formed campaign workers guild has negotiated its first collectively bargained contract, and that's with Randy Bryce, who is the Democratic candidate that is challenging Paul Ryan. This is in thenation.com. It was written by John Nichols. Very interesting here. So the congressional candidate, Randy Bryce, that is running against Paul Ryan is a union guy. He's a member of the Iron Workers Local 8 in southeastern Wisconsin. He has organized with workers, marched picket lines, and rallied against Republican assaults on labor rights. And this is pretty amazing. You know, we've talked about on this show how we need to create a third party, and if we do, it should probably be a union, or all about labor parties. And we talk about unions a lot on this show, and unions have been getting demonized really since Reagan in the 80s, when he went after the I was a kid when this happened, but some of you may remember. Those of you who don't, I would recommend Googling it. But he went against the Air Traffic Controllers Union, and what that was really about was to get in the mainstream media that unions are bad and unions are difficult and unions cost us more money, and you know, and to start this narrative of unions always going on strike, always holding things up, like unions are slowing down progress. You know, that was where a big part of that narrative, that propaganda was, when in fact Reagan was just trying to break unions. That's what a big part of what he did. And the Democratic Party used to be the workers' party. It used to be very pro-union. It's very much not. It gives it lip service, just like it gives all of its little, you know, left-leaning ideas lip service, but it isn't actually. The Democratic Party is a corporate party. It's a pro-war party. It's a pro-banking party. And it'll just do little token gestures, but it's not. So anyway, this is significant, what he's doing, Randy Bryce, and I'll go into the details of it. It's significant on several levels. First of all, he unionized his campaign trail, so he's really backing Paul Ryan into a corner. And he also is a candidate that's backing up his beliefs. He's all talking pro-union on the campaign trail and workers' rights on the campaign trail. So that'd be the first thing they would ask him, especially like Fox News or whatever. The first thing they would ask him, the first thing they would point out, oh, he doesn't pay his staff well at all, and he's trying to get better wages for everybody. He's not one of us, you know. Even though Paul Ryan is just pure evil. And all Paul Ryan says is bullshit. Like, every moment of his day is bullshit. Like, what's that like, being a lying, filthy, serial killer-eyed, fucking creep weirdo that looks like you eat puppies? What's that like every day? Yeah, I'm saying it. Paul Ryan eats puppies. Prove me wrong. So what happened is Nate Rifkin, the digital director of for the Democratic challenger, going against Paul Ryan, brought up the idea of organizing workers on the campaign. Bryce recalls his immediate response was, let's do this. They then contacted the Campaign Workers Guild, which is a new national union that organizes non-management campaign staff. We met with the unit and negotiated our first collectively bargained contract on a political campaign, recalls Meg Riley, a national student organizer for the 2016 Bernie Sanders campaign, who now serves as vice president of the Guild. Of course, we've got a Bernie person in there. Under the groundbreaking contract, the 8 members of the Bryce campaign staff secured a 1% raise and reimbursements for health insurance premiums. In addition, the contract provides for a formal grievance process and a third-party reporting system for sexual harassment. All of this is very unique in campaigns, says Press Secretary Lauren Hint, a union member who served as communications director for Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney before joining the Bryce campaign. So this is very significant, because it also is good to unionize. I mean, it's good to unionize just about anything, because But especially on campaigns, the amount of money that is spent on campaigns, and I'm sure most of that money is top heavy, you know, and the hours that campaign staffers have to put in, and I mean, just from what I've heard, it's nuts. It's like crazier than working in, like, you know, film production or something. It's just pretty insane. So it's really important. I'm curious to see how. I'd love to see Paul Ryan get knocked out, but getting knocked out this way is interesting to me. So, and how is Paul Ryan going to be able to answer that if he doesn't unionize his staff, right? So if he doesn't unionize his staff, he's not taking care of his staff, and his opponent is. And if he unionizes his staff, well, then Paul Ryan is in favor of unions. It's just purely from a campaign strategy. It's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move because it's just like either response, either reaction Paul Ryan makes is going to make him look like a jackass. I mean, he does that just by talking or just staring with that creep face of his. He's a creep. Paul Ryan's a creep. So the other Democratic contender is Cathy Meyers, is a longtime teachers union member and local official who currently serves on the Janesville School Board. And here's what Bryce said: "If I'm talking about the importance of unions on the campaign trail, it makes sense that the people who work on the campaign should have representation." And he is encouraging his other people he's running against to know about the efforts of the Campaign Workers Guild to assure that campaign staffers are treated with respect. And what he said, he was asked, does that mean that Paul Ryan should welcome union representation of his reelection campaign staff? Absolutely, said Bryce. I would encourage him to do so. This is fantastic. It's really cool to see. And this year this is a very interesting, as we've been talking about this a lot. Now we're in it. It's 2018 and the primaries are starting next month in March. And so how these things, who wins and who doesn't, and how they win, and how many progressives we can get in there. This is really, really interesting. So, and it's also showing how, like candidates, like people are so done with the bullshit of corporate politics that real people are getting involved, and real people are running on just common sense. Like, well, if I'm a union guy, I should unionize my staff. I mean, it's so refreshing to see. Whether, you know, Randy Bryce's full platform is, you know, and if he were to win, whatever else, but just that, what he's done is significant. And if more campaign workers get unionized, it's great. It's great because then it erodes the whole anti-union sentiment, you know? So if you're working on somebody's campaign staff, regardless of their party affiliation, ask to be unionized. Contact these guilds. So thanks for watching the show, you guys, and thanks for supporting. Go to thepatreon.com. Also, more episodes. There's 8 more episodes of the FNX Comedy Experience if you can come out to San Bernardino. We have 2 more in February, and then in March and April. So come on out. 2 February, 3 in March, 3 in April. The links are below at grahamelwood.com. And there's a bunch of ways you can support the show. You can send, there's a P.O. box if you don't want to do any digital contributions. And, you know, like and subscribe and share the videos out there to everybody on your social media. That is a big way to help support the show. Thanks for watching.